Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today's class is going to be another character analysis, and today's character is going to be Nevada Baylor from the Hidden Legacy series. So we did do some book discussions on the first three books of the Hidden Legacy series, which is the three books that center around Nevada. So if you want to go ahead and check those out, I'll go ahead and put a link for you that you can go ahead and check out the actual discussions of the books. But now we are going to be discussing her in depth, what kind of character she is, who she is essentially as a person, and what she offers as the main character of this set of books. She is a developing prime, so she develops through the course of the three books into her full prime, with the rare ability of truth-seeking. So, of course, this world has magic. Pretty much a large portion of the world has magic. Not everybody, but a large portion of people do. And she has the magical ability of truth-seeking. So, and that is very, very rare. So, let's go ahead and start off right away with her traits. So the traits that I came up with were that she is very strong, very smart, highly family-oriented. She is kind and caring, very kind and caring, but she is very resourceful, level-headed, headstrong, resilient, confident, and the trait of a leader. I know that kind of seems like a weird trait. It's not really like a personality trait, but what I mean by that is that she just has the essence of a leader, which we'll talk a little bit more about that as I continue through this discussion. And really the leader portion of her trait or her characteristics is both for her family and for her business, because obviously she does run her own business. She is the owner and she is a leader in that sense, but she also is a leader in the fact that she is kind of the head of the family and makes large decisions for the families at times. So again, we can discuss that a little bit more. Please let me know if you think that she deserves any other traits, if you agree, disagree, anything that you want to say, and the fact of who you think Nevada is on a personality level, her different traits, her different characteristics, and what make up who she is. I feel like that's a pretty strong list, though, of who she is, at least the way that I perceive her. She is very much the typical independent woman of a lot of different books that have women main characters that are very strong, have many of these same characteristics. She's very resilient, very headstrong, not going to back down, but she is very smart and knows when she needs to change directions, that kind of stuff, as well as being that kind, caring person who takes care of others, especially in Nevada's case, her family. That's something that I find is very unique for her, is that she has a large family, and her one of her main traits is to be that family-oriented, very much caring about her family and liking the fact that she has a big family, even when they annoy her. So, again, let me know if you think I should change anything or if anything needs to be added, what you agree, disagree. If you think I forgot something, I'd love to know. Okay, next things next, which is her role in the story. And I have two different roles that I think really match with her and her character in this story. So the first one is to be a guardian. So she is constantly protecting people, protecting her family, protecting those that she sees as hers, protecting people who are innocent that just happen to be in the vicinity. She thinks about people she doesn't know and has never met. She is very much, in my opinion, the epitome of a guardian character, and that is one of her roles, is to be a protector of the people who can't protect themselves, or people who can't protect themselves that she's going to guard anyway because she cares about them. She is constantly thinking about how to protect her family, how to be their guardian. She is constantly thinking about how to protect those in her care, the people who are in her business, the people who are her clients, the people who just she knows randomly, or as family friends or anything else like that. Anybody who is in her vicinity, she is always thinking, how do I guard them? How do I make sure that they are protected? How can I provide for them? What is fair for everybody? That's constantly what's going through her mind, and constantly what she is trying to do is to guard them, to protect them, to nurture them, and everything else that a guardian would do. She is even trying to guard people who are just out and about, like the fact that, the city's getting destroyed or they're battling out in the streets, and she's thinking, hey, people are going to die if we stay out here, if we're battling here. We need to move the battle into an area where other people won't get hurt. So even the people who are just randomly in the wrong place at the wrong time, she is the guardian of. She is constantly thinking about the safety of others and how she herself personally can protect those people, whether she knows them, whether she knows them well, whether she doesn't know them at all. Whatever the case may be, she is a guardian of people, but especially the guardian of her family and her close-knit friends. So that's why I strongly believe that she has that guardian role, that she really takes up that mantle. She will never ever let you down in that sense. The second one is to continue our conversation about her being a leader. So she is a leader both professionally and personally, like I mentioned before, in both the terms of her family and in the terms of her business. So let's start on the terms of business, because technically a lot of times business or business transactions are where we have people who are leaders and who are leading the employees under them. So she is very much the leader of her business. She is the new owner. She is the person who is running it. She is the one who's making the main decisions for everything. She is the leader of the business. Whenever it's a business matter, she's the one that makes that final decision, even if she does, get help from opinions from others like Rogan, her mom, her grandma at times, her sisters, or her cousin, whatever that may be. She is going to make the final decision as a leader does. Whenever she needs something to happen for the business, whenever there is a job that needs to be done, because her family is all in on this business and is working as part of the business, she will go to them and she will direct them and be like, you're doing this job, I need this from you, and coordinating the team, as it were. So she is very much a leader of her business. Everybody does kind of hop to when she comes in and says, hey, we're doing this job, I need this done, and this is your time, go. So they all look up to her as a leader for the family. She does have a lot of respect as the leader on all parts of anybody who is related to her business. Even when Montgomery owned them, he very much respected her. He obviously didn't care about her choices and the fact that he owned her business and could do what he wanted. But after she stood up to him and handled the job that was, supposed to basically ruin her, he does have that respect for her as well on that front. So everybody really respects her as that leader point. In a personal basis with her family, she has a large family. She is also the leader there too. Though her mom and her grandma are technically above her in the hierarchy for age-wise, and you would think that at least the mom would be the kind of the leader. But really, Nevada stepped in when her dad died and became the leader of the business and, in turn, the leader of the family. She's the one that's, taking charge and making the decision to say, hey, we need to talk about becoming a house. That's going to be very protective for us. She's the one that sets that forward. She's the one that, yes, made it an open vote for the whole family, but she was the one that had that idea, took charge, and was like, this is where we need to go. This is the evidence I'm presenting you. And though it is a group vote, this is a main decision that I am putting out there. The mom did not want to become a family, and that did not immediately just change everybody's opinion. Nevada really was the driving force of that. We've got the fact that, whenever there's family problems, they usually go to Nevada in order to help solve those family problems. Not always, but a lot of times they come to her and they're like, hey, we're having this problem, and she's the one that they know is going to sort it out for them, just like a leader would. So even their personal decisions are not coming from the mom. The mom is not directing the family. It is all Nevada who is directing the family and trying to push them in a direction that will be good for them personally and professionally. So I do think it's interesting that she is a leader on both these bases. And even there, she has that image of a leader to Rogan's people, because Rogan has given her the authority, in some cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, to, talk to his people. She comes off as a leader coming in, talking to their leader, and she then can make leader decisions to Rogan's people when they are doing favors for her. And she then becomes their leader as well. And they do show that they really respect her, not only for making Rogan happy and having that interest with Rogan, but also for the fact that she does treat them very fairly and is a good leader in their eyes as well. So, very much a strong personality and a strong person that is good at directing people and knowing how to have chaos, but then to refine it and know where to direct that chaos in order to make order. So that's why I think that she is both a guardian and a leader. She is all about protecting people, all about leading them so that way they can be in a good position to be protected. So those are her two main roles in the story, at least as far as I was thinking. I'd love to hear if you think there's any other roles in the story that she fulfills. But these two I think are very, very strong ones. Now, what does she bring to the story? So you know what role she plays in the story, but what does she actually bring to the story that the other characters don't? What is her special reason for being in this story? Of course, we have the generic answer of she's the main character, so, she's one of the most important characters in the story, because without her, there wouldn't be a story. But kind of more on a deeper level of that, because this is a first-person point of view series, she is the window we have into the story. That is kind of what she brings, is that her perspective of this world is the window that we're looking through, and she brings us that window to view it from. We are becoming Nevada and seeing the world that she lives in through her eyes. We are very close narration-wise to her as a person. So she's writing it as if the book is written as if it is written by her, happening, right along with her. And her character's personality is very much incorporated into that narration. And that narration is our window. So without Nevada, this story could not take place because she is our window into the story. She is the one that is walking us through what is happening. She is the one that is explaining all the problems that is going on. She is the one who is then fixing those problems, and we are seeing her fix problems or handle them in the best way that she can. We are seeing her thoughts and her opinions, and those are coloring our thoughts and opinions because we are looking through her into the story. Of course, we don't always have to believe her. We don't always have to agree with her, but we have a lot of her thoughts and her opinions flavoring that window view that we have. So really, she brings the whole essence of the story to us, the essence that we get to experience. And that is what makes her so essential to the story, is because the story literally could not happen without her. We could not read the story without her because she is the one telling the story. The events wouldn't take place if she didn't exist because she is the one completely involved, completely full of these events. Like, with all the events are around her, pretty much. All the problems that are happening might have been happening, but it is Nevada who is allowing us to witness those events, those problems. That is allowing those problems to be resolved, because if it was somebody else with a different kind of characteristic or different personality, it probably would not be resolved, or at least it wouldn't be resolved in the way that we're seeing now. So Nevada is very important because she is the essence of the story that we are seeing, and we are only seeing it because Nevada is there for us to view it. So she is the essential, most important character in this story. For example, if we were from Mad Rogan's point of view, it would be very different. The whole story would be different. How things turned out might be different because the centralization would be through him. And of course, he is in this story, so it wouldn't be, way off the charts per se. But we get a very different feel, a very different view, and possibly a different outcome if he is the one that is more prominent in these events than Nevada, if you get what I'm saying. So, without her, this story would not be able to exist in the way that it does. So she is very, very important, especially if you really like this story and you really like Nevada. That is going to really help you like this series. If it was from a different point of view with a different character, maybe farther distance back, it might not be as enjoyable or quite as, strong of a view into the story, which might disconnect the reader from the story. So she really brings the whole essence of the book as it is in this form, as it was written. So she does bring a lot to the story because she is that window. Now, every character has their own goals. So let's go ahead and cover Nevada's goals. And these goals help drive the story, they help drive the character, they help drive a lot of different, side events depending on which character it is. But every character has at least one goal, sometimes multiple goals, throughout a story, and they are very, very important to understanding the characters, motivations, and how they move along the story. So I have thought of 2 goals that Nevada brings, or that Nevada has, which is very vital for the story. Let me know if you think of anything else, but these are the 2 main ones that I really see, and a lot of times goals are connected, and I do feel like Nevada's goals, her 2 different goals, are very, very connected. The first one is to protect and provide her family. She is a guardian, and as being a guardian, she must protect her family. That is her whole mentality throughout every single book. No matter what it is that is happening, yes, she has motivations outside of her family, but her main goal is to protect and to provide for her family. She must provide for her family, and that means having that business that is not, making the most money. It's not making no money, but it's not making it so it's an easy living. So she must keep the business alive and handle what needs to be handled in order to keep this business to provide for her family. That means taking on that job that she is then forced upon because their company is mortgaged to a bigger company and they have not finished paying that. So in order to keep not having to pay back their loan right away, she must take on this job. So that is part of providing for her family, which is also, protecting her family from going bankrupt, from going to be living on the streets with nothing to eat, that kind of stuff. So her motivation throughout the very first book especially is to provide and to protect her family. As things start getting into more and more dangerous territory of dealing with dangerous people, having dangerous events, being more high stakes, that's where she continues to prioritize the goal of protecting and providing for her family. So will it provide for her family? Will it protect her family? Is there already things that she's in that she can't get out of that she then has to deal with in order to protect and provide for her family? So this whole story is moved and propelled because of Nevada's goal to protect and provide for her family. I'm sure you could have a nice little drinking game for this section of how many times I've just said that. But it's very, very true. If you read this book again, and if you didn't realize it, you will see how all of her motivation, well, maybe not all, 95% of her motivation is all about her family and what is it going to do. Like every decision she makes, she thinks, how is this going to affect everybody else? How is this going to be? Is this going to be necessary in order to make things better for her family? If there is danger, how can she get her family out of it? Her whole goal is to be very family oriented and to do what needs to be done to protect those people because she loves them so much. The second thing that she has, and that is to survive the trials that are forced upon her. She can't continue to provide for her family or to protect her family if she's dead. She would rather die and save her family than let her family get hurt, but really she's just looking to survive because she needs to come out the other end to keep her family progressing forward. She's even mentioned that if she's out of the picture, though she does have a decent, I think she mentions there's a life policy out on her, if I'm remembering correctly, that does help provide for her family, but she provides more for her family if she's alive and living, and plus her family loves her and they would not want her to get hurt. So her first thought and her first goal is the thoughts about her family and how things affect them and what she needs to do to protect them. The second thoughts that are going in, the second main goal is to survive herself. So whatever she needs to do to protect is the first thing, and then she sees how she can also expound upon that to have her survive for another day. Especially if she gets into more dangerous territory that she tries not to get into in the first place, but is forced upon her. So then she must think, okay, how can I get through this? How can everybody get through this? First priority is everybody else, and then the second priority is her. So everything she does is very much calculated and thought upon by its consequences, by how likely it is to make it through, by what needs to be done. So those are her two main goals. They're very linked to each other in the fact that it's all about protecting and surviving, but she does have it as two separate goals in her mind. She will do what needs to be done for the family before she thinks of herself. But then the next best goal is how to protect herself. Of course, family does end up expanding and including others that she sees under her care and are as close as family. So her goal ends up expanding to more and more people that must be included and must be calculated for in her decisions, which makes them harder and harder, especially as it becomes harder and harder to survive each thing just as it is. And sometimes that does mean that her goal must broaden a little bit of allowing her family to help her and to help themselves by being in a little bit more dangerous situations, but should in the end be more protective and more likely that they're going to all make it out alive. So she does make those adjustments based on the situation, what's needed, and how things will turn out, and what the likelihood of people getting hurt is. Along with just understanding that sometimes you can't control everybody and you must just make do with what you've got and handle the situation, knowing that these people are going to be doing dangerous things. Now let's delve into her relationships, because of course relationships are very important for people. Interactions with other people, having close-knit relationships with other people do change and affect people, because different points of view, different people do have a tendency to share their ideas with each other, and then those ideas are swapped and shared or changed depending on who you are. So relationships are always very, very important to a character and who they are and who they become. And this is very true for Nevada. The first one I want to talk about is her relationship with Mad Rogan, or Rogan. This is her romantic interest for the 3 books, and at first it starts very, very typical romance kind of style where they don't get along, they have issues. I mean, he does basically kidnap her and try and forces her to tell him stuff. I mean, in the first time they meet, it's not really a great opening. Makes sense why she's kind of, not really wanting to get into that romantic notion. But he pursues her enough that she starts to change and realizes that he's not really a bad guy. He just goes about things the wrong way a lot of times. And they do affect each other a lot. And it actually helps. No, Rogan is the reason that she develops into who she is by the end of the series. She is not used to being a prime. She's not used to dealing with the world of primes, but she is forced into it as the result of all the crazy stuff happening that she ends up being in the middle of. And as things go, he's helping her teach her how to become a prime, how to think like a prime, how to survive in this world of primes, how to still have happiness of some sort in the world of the primes, though she does, already know how to do that better than he does. But he still tries to explain that it doesn't have to completely demolish who she is, it just will enhance and grow who she is. And she just must embrace that a lot of things that deal with the prime world is something you have to embrace and take as is necessary. And she becomes a much more stronger, resilient person as a result of that. By the end, at the beginning, she was already resilient and she was already very, very confident as a person. But by the end, she is unstoppable. She is confident in her powers. She knows how to use them. She doesn't back down to people. She asserts herself. She's no longer running and afraid of her powers being discovered. Instead, she is shouting them to the world and using them and not being afraid of people finding out and people coming after her. So she becomes much more confident, much more assured of herself, much more ready to take on the world and not so scared of it anymore. Not so scared of her own powers. I mean, she really explores them, really wants to know about them. Even when people look at her like she's a monster because she can just crack people's minds like an egg and gather all their secrets, she has Rogan there to help her build back up her confidence after that. I mean, it's hard to be thought of as a monster, but Rogan knows how that feels a lot, and he helps her understand that you can't let those things get you down. And so she then builds up more resilience and much more strength, and it is all because of Rogan. So he really teaches her to embrace the strengths she already has and build upon it until she is just 100% out in the world, confident with who she is, confident about her family, and ready to take everything on instead of trying to take the safest route. Of course, she's not trying to throw herself into danger either, but she is much more of a person that's ready to take on the world and take her family with her instead of trying to hide from the world and keep running like her mom was hoping that they would continue to do. Especially from her grandmother, who is still technically after them in many ways, though they have a kind of weird alliance at this point. And speaking of her mom and her grandma, the other relationship, or another relationship I want to talk about, is the family that she has that are living. And there are several living family members, so it's kind of a big group to combine into one relationship. And technically, all of her relationships do give her something separate than, what she's got currently. Like what am I trying to say here? Amy, focus. Instead of it being like each individual person gives her something individually as a relationship. That is 100% sure. But all of them collectively do give her something as well. All of them do give her similar things along with their unique things. And it's the similar things that I kind of want to combine and talk about for them as a group. So they all have the similar effect on the fact that they are her driving force. Her relationship with her family is, like what we've been mentioning this whole time, her essence, her reason for being, her goals, the reason that she does anything. So her relationship with her family is her driving force of everything that she does, of everything that she thinks. Maybe not 100%. Of course, it's very much too broad in the fact that eventually she does start to think for herself and think for her relationship with Rogan. But it's all based on the principle that she knows that her family comes first. and that Rogan knows that her family comes first. And of course, Rogan becomes part of that family mindset, but really focusing on her biological family. They are what matters most, and that relationship is the strongest relationship that she has. And they all have a bond together that is unbreakable. Even though they do have their spats, they do have their problems, but it is an unbreakable bond that is formed between them. And she is going to promote, or what's the word I'm looking for? Prioritize that relationship first with any of them, individually or as a group. So it's a huge relationship and a big factor of who Nevada is. All the women in her family also are very strong, independent women. And because she saw her grandma be that independent person who works on literal tanks, and her mom, who is someone from the army and is used to, crazy battles and war and shooting people when necessary, she learned from those mother figures to become that confident woman that she is. Her sisters are learning that from her and from her parents, from her grandma and her mom. And she is learning it back from them. All of the women are also collectively making her who she is, in the fact that they have all provided her with the acceptance and the expectation that you are going to be an independent woman who is strong and takes care of her own problems and is that leader. So her family is her driving force, and the women in her family are her role models that have led her to being who she is today. So her family is a very big relationship, a very big factor of Nevada is this, and that is largely due to her family. Now, her dad, I'd like to talk about a little bit separately, just because he isn't alive, and he does contribute the same factors, but also a different one because he has passed on. Her dad is very special to her, especially now that he has passed, because they had a special relationship, and that relationship has no longer able to grow and to continue making new memories with it. So there's still a relationship that she has with her dad. It's just one that can no longer be moving forward. So right now, the relationship that she has is one that is the one that was established when he was alive. And this contributes to who Nevada is, because she knows what it's like to have the guilt of not telling her mom or her grandma or anybody that she knew about her dad's condition before it was serious enough to take his life. And she promised not to say anything. So she has that guilt inside that she might have been able to help save her dad, but because she kept that promise, they didn't save her dad. So she's got that laying on her shoulders. And it's very hard for her, and that makes a lot of her decisions moving forward now is so stressed about keeping her family safe, is because she knows she didn't do it for her dad. They tried very, very hard, spent all their money, spent everything they had, every penny, trying to help her dad stay alive. And that's also contributed to who Nevada is now, is because the reason that she's in the spot that she's in and having to make decisions that she's in is because they don't have a lot of money, because they did make these decisions to save her dad to the extent that they're now in the situation that they're in. And now she has to work with that situation in order to provide and to protect. So her relationship with her dad was very, very special and very, very close when he was alive. And now that he's dead, it is still a contributing factor to who she is, how she feels about herself, and that connection that she still has with her dad, as well as putting them in a position of where they're at, which leads to different decisions on Nevada's part. So her dad is a big contributor to who she is, especially at the start of the series. So overall, everybody who is close to Nevada has really been an impactful person for who she is, because her whole being is about those people and protecting them and loving them and doing what's right for them as well as for everybody, to try and save and protect people even though she doesn't know them, because she is a kind and caring person. So I really love Nevada. I think she's a really great character. I really like her snarkiness a little bit, that personality punch that she has in her narration, and just how strong and resilient she is. So I think she's a really, really great character that deserves to have an appreciation about her. So hopefully you enjoyed what I talked about for her. If I missed anything, you think I forgot anything, you think I got anything wrong, whatever it may be, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, and how you see Nevada and her character, especially since she's a main character and the point of view is from her. She is a very essential character to us as the reader. So love to hear your thoughts and opinions on her and everything that I have said about her so far. All right, before we go ahead and wrap up, let's go ahead and go over our trivia question. Thank you to everybody who participated. I really appreciate all of your answers and everybody who gave it their best guess. I guess this one was a little bit hard because I only had one correct answer. The question was, I gave a list of 5 different creatures, and which one was the one, which ones, so multiple if there was, were half bird, half human creatures, and the correct answer were harpies and sirens. So those are both traditionally half human, half bird creatures. Congratulations to Brendan who got it correct. And thank you for everyone else who gave it their best shot and best guess. I appreciate everybody who submitted answers, and hopefully next time you will get it correct. If you would like to join this trivia question and are interested in that, go ahead over to the blog, fantasyfictionfanatics.net. It is on the right-hand side on desktop. It'll scroll down just a little bit, and it will be there for you to answer. If you're on mobile, you'll have to scroll almost all the way down to the bottom, but you will find it there and be able to answer and find out next week if you get it correct. So thank you again to everyone who answered. While you're over there on the blog, hopefully you'll check out some of my content there. I've got book reviews, book recommendations, deep thoughts on what I have about different fantasy or reading aspects. I've got different personal ones for me, writing tips, lots of different things over there. So hopefully you'll check that out and let me know if you'd like to see anything specific on the blog as well as here on the channel. And if you'd like to get a hold of me and down below is not the best place for you, you're welcome to check out my social medias of Facebook, which is /fantasyfiction1, or Twitter, which is @fantasyfiction1. You are more than welcome to follow me there, get updates, and direct message me. Though the best place, at least in my opinion, is the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics Discord. The link will be down below if you wish to join. Hopefully we will see you there. But we've got several people over there talking, chatting about different fantasy things, non-fantasy things. If you need any book recommendations, they will be happy to help you out and give you some lots of different conversations, as well as you can direct message me there as well. So hopefully you will join our community and talk together with us over on the Discord and have a great time. We'd love to have you. And again, that link will be down below. And I think that's it for me today. So I guess I'll see you guys in the next class. Hopefully you enjoyed this character analysis, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.